Alright guys, what's going on? I have another video for the DX4850, this personal computer right here. I had a message on YouTube on how to add a graphics card, and I thought, wow, that's a video I should have made. So I'm going to go ahead and make this video for him and for anybody else who needs some help. So I'm going to actually start this off as you would start it, without a graphics card. The only thing is I don't have the original power supply, but all the connections are really similar. So let's get started. We're going to want to take off the side panel, and I have the computer laying down on its side with the holes facing, or the stickers facing me. That's the side you got to take off. And the side panel just slides right off. Pull it towards you and it just slides right off. So you can also use this reference as for this computer, or really any computer, because it's really all similar. So this will work for basically any modder or PC builder out there. So we have our power supply. No graphics card. This is what it's going to similarly look like to yours. So first thing you want to do, there is a ribbon, sort of cable managed, not a ribbon. It's kind of like a plastic bar. It's like a little cable management thing here. So what you want to do is push this. If you just push it in like this, it'll pop open. As you can see, it just popped right open. And then you can take all your cables out. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to take all of our cables out. Just like that. And as you can see, there's one cable here that's actually connected right to the motherboard itself. That is your 24-pin connector. That needs to be removed. So the easiest way to do this is actually take your hand, and right under this bar thing you'll feel a sort of like a clip. I'll bring you in a little bit closer so you can see. Okay, so this is the clip right here, right above my finger. See if I can use the screwdriver to point to it. It's right there. You'll feel it. Just get it with your thumb. I know this is kind of like a weird camera angle here, but I'm trying to show you guys as best as I can. And it is tight. This plastic bar, it is securely attached to the hard drive bay, which is right here. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to get this. See, like I'm moving. It's not. I didn't break it. It just moves around and makes all sorts of noise. But just push that, and it's kind of difficult, to be honest. Push that tab in and work that cable out. Oh, I actually just hurt myself a little bit right there. I don't know why they designed it like that. I mean, it's literally right under this. It's going to be difficult to get out. But here's a little, now that I got it out, here's the tab and a little bit of a closer look. There's the tab. As you can see, it's a clip, so you got to push it to release it and pull it out. It will be a little bit difficult, guys, so just take your time. Make sure you're not gonna break this off of the board. Once you do that, your computer's gone. Alright, we got that 24-pin connector out. Kind of a hassle, but just take your time, like I said. Alright, so we can just actually move all these wires up out of the way now. Every wire that's not connected, just kind of get it out of your way. Here's your hard drive and the hard drive bay where the hard drives actually sit. And you have two connectors there. You have this is your power connector. Take that out. That goes directly to the hard drive. This actually kind of got stuck in there. Let me take this out. Pull that off to the side. And you have your, well, this you don't need to worry about. This is your SATA connector. That can actually stay in there. The motherboard power connection is right here. So if you're looking at the PC, here's your cooler with the CPU under it. It's going to be right where this fan is to the left, and it's a 4-pin connector. It's tucked right in there, so we want to get that out. Let's go ahead and it's got a clip on it, so you're going to want to squeeze the clip and then pull it out. It's not too difficult, but that's what the clip looks like. It's just one of these guys, and then it comes right out. Alright, now everything is disconnected, so what we can go ahead and do is control our wires here. There's a lot of wires. It's actually the reason why a lot of people don't really want to get into computer building is because of all these wires. It's so overwhelming to other people, and really it's just a couple connections. There's power supplies out there that won't even have all these. This is one of them actually. This is called a modular power supply. But anyways, let's go ahead and remove the screws from the back of the computer. I'm gonna do my best to show you the rear. So here's the back of the computer, and there are 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to take 4 of those out. Make sure you keep your screws separate from each other. A bowl is a good idea. Alright, so once you have your power supply unscrewed, we're just going to do something that it involves a little bit extra, but we're going to do it just for safety, just to be safe. So what you're going to want to do is actually unscrew your heatsink and your CPU fan. Alright, so the easiest way to do that is, first of all, unplugging your CPU wire. This is your fan control wire. Ding. Unplug that. It's going to be sort of like multicolored, and it's going to be like twisted up like this, so it's really easy to find. And you just pull it right out. This connection here is for the rear fan. You can go ahead and take that out too. We're just allowing as much room as possible for this power supply to come out. Alright, so you're going to find a couple of screws here for your CPU fan. There's actually going to be one here, one here, and then 2 more on the opposite side. So there's going to be 4 screws in total that you got to remove. So let's go ahead and do that. I recommend when you're unscrewing it to go from one corner to the other opposite corner. It doesn't really matter much while you're unscrewing, but while you're screwing it in, I'll show you that later on in the video. Alright, and there it goes. It pops right off. Now that's your CPU. You don't want to touch that. And for those of you who don't know, this is a thermal paste. You don't really want to touch any of that, so we won't. Alright, now that we've got the CPU out, we have to take the RAM out just for safe measure. The way to do that is to take these 2 tabs right here. I did the first one so you guys can see better. Take a tab here, and then there's going to be a tab here. They're white colored. You're just going to push down on them. So you can actually use this tip right here on how to replace your RAM. So if you got to replace your RAM, this is how you would technically do it. Here's 2 more. push them down, the RAM pops out, and there's 4 RAM slots, and it just pops right out. Try not to touch this gold area. Alright, now that you have basically everything taken out and most of the connections disconnected, there are 2 more connections that have to be disconnected. One of them is this right here. This little white cord that has to be disconnected. So the easiest way to do that is I'm going to actually bring you in a little bit closer and disconnect that to show you how to do it. Alright, so here's the connector. This has to come off. Easiest way to do that is kind of pull it like a pop can, like a soda pop can. Pull it up and just pull it right out. I was actually able to do that with one hand, so it's not too hard. Just give it a little pull toward you and pull it out. As you can see, this pin right here that you just disconnected only has 2 pins, so you don't have to be worried. That's just how it's made. And this wire goes directly to your PC case. So there's only 2 pins there. Nothing's broken. Alright, this is where things get a little tricky. For your last connection, it's actually behind the CD-ROM drive. That has to be disconnected. So what we're going to do is move all our wires back down here. And you got to look back here. There are 2 connections. One is your SATA cable and the other is the power cable. We want to get rid of the power cable because it goes directly to the power supply. So in order to find that, I'm going to take you in a little bit closer and hopefully help you find that if you don't know where it is. Alright, so now we're behind the CD-ROM drive. Here's the SATA cable, and then right behind it you can see an orange wire. That is your power cable. That has to come out. I suggest taking the SATA cable out to make room for that cable, and you can see it sticking out right there. Just kind of take it and pull it right out. There are no clips. It comes out really easy. Alright, so now that you have everything disconnected, you're ready to take out the power supply. Now really the only way to do this, take your hand back here, take all your cables, kind of lift up and push from the back. And you gotta kind of ease your way out. And there it goes. Be very careful when doing this because there are things on the board that can snap off. Just take your time and do everything slow. Alright, you got your new power supply ready. You got your graphics card, which mine is sitting over to the side there. And you're ready to put these things in. So really, it's just the reverse of everything that we just did. But of course, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do this anyway. So now, the orientation of the power supply, it does matter. So you want to make sure that this fan is not being blocked by the top of the case. So face the fan downwards. To pull air, you just want air to be drawn up through the fan. Alright, so we're going to mount ours like this. And it just slides right in place. There are metal guidelines to help show you where to put in the case or to put the power supply in the case. We have our Molex connected. Make sure you connect all these extra wires. If you need an extra PCI cable, more Molex, do this before you put the power supply in. So it's going to be a lot easier for you. Alright, so what we're going to first start off with is this little cable right here. We disconnected this last. We're going to disconnect this first. And that is going to be right here. It's going to be right here. It's actually on the Molex connectors. This is specifically for this PC. This is going to be either probably not required for a lot of other cases, but we're going to go ahead and slide this in here. Now there's only 2 pins on this, so let's zoom in on that. So if you guys can see that, there are just 2 pins right there, and there will be 2 missing. It's not broken, that's just how it's made. So let's go ahead and slide this in there. Gotta make sure it's facing the right way. You don't want it to be this black one, you don't want it to be facing that way, you want it to be facing this way. And just line them up and push it in. Now, like I said, this may be different for other power supplies, and it will be different for other computers, but you do need this connection, so there will be a wire on your power supply if you're dealing with this specific computer. Alright, so now we're gonna put our RAM back in right there. So here are your RAM slots. They're color coded, so make sure all of these tabs are pushed open, and these go in just one way. There is a slot here as well as a little slot on the slot. There's actually, no, it's a little notch in the slot here. So we'll put this in. And once you have it seated in, you'll know it's properly seated because it won't rock around. And then you just want to push down on both corners. You'll hear a loud click when it's in. That means you're good to go. So we're going to do that to the rest of these. A little tip about RAM. First of all, it is going to take a lot of pressure. Don't be worried. Push it straight in and it'll be good to go. Second is, these are color coded for a reason. It has to do with memory speeds and things like that. But if you're using all of the DIMM slots, these are called DIMM slots, by the way, didn't mention that. It doesn't matter which way you put this in here. But if you're only using, say, 2 out of the 4 RAM DIMMs, then you're going to want to put them in the same color. So if I'm using 2, I want to put both of them in the blue. And you shouldn't use odd numbers like 3, but you can just use 1. But if you did want to use 3, then you'd put one in the blue, another one in the blue, and then obviously one in the black. But try to keep it 4 or 2 or just 1. So just a quick tip there. Alright, so now we can put our CPU fan back in here. Orientation does matter a little bit, and if you guys don't know what I mean by orientation, it's just the way it's seated. I don't want to use these words and you don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm gonna seat mine like this because the power cable is closest to the connection. You want to make sure that this power cable is closest to your connection up here. So I'm gonna seat mine like this, and you're just gonna want to sit it down in there, lining up the screws. So let's just like that, we're gonna make our power connection and screw our screws. Alright guys, got another little weird camera angle for you here. This is actually just below the power supply, so if you guys can see that. This is an important connection that you have to make here, so I just wanted to make sure that I was nice and zoomed in. This is your CPU power connection, and you'll see that there are actually 2 connectors here. There is a, I'm not sure if you guys can make that out, but there is CPU fan here. This one says CPU fan, and this one says system fan. You want to make sure you plug your CPU fan into the one that says CPU fan. So it'll be printed on the board, on top of the board. Make sure you look for that and plug it into the right one. And system fan will be this rear fan right here. That's where you'll plug in the system fan. Alright, so when screwing in your CPU fan, just another little tip here. Make sure you start at one corner. Don't screw it in too much, just enough to where it stops. Okay, just stopped. Then go over to the opposite corner on the same side and screw that one until it just stops. You don't want to screw it in too hard. And then come to the other corner and screw that one in. Now the reason why you're doing this is because you're applying even pressure on the CPU, and that way you don't damage anything. It's just a really safe way when you're dealing with more than one screw like this. It's just a really safe way to screw it in. So that's my little tip there. Alright, let's not forget about our other connections we have to make. And that's the 24-pin power connector. And this one goes in just one way. There is a clip, so you guys can reference that to the board. The clip will actually be facing this way toward the hard drive bay, and that will just kind of go right in there. All of these things go in just one way, so be patient and take your time. And let's get this plugged in. And there's the click confirming that it is plugged in. So we also have our hard drive to plug in here. Remember, we didn't unplug the SATA cable, but we did have to unplug the power cable. So I'm going to actually use this one here. It doesn't matter which one you use. There's 3 on here. It really doesn't matter, but what does matter is that these only go in one way. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there is a line. There you go. There is a little notch here, and it will only go in one way. Alright, so lining up the notch on here, it's like a little L shape. I'm going to line it up with the same shape on the hard drive. And it just slides right in. Alright, now that we got that all taken care of, let's go ahead and plug in our 4-pin motherboard power supply cable. It's a good thing I have small hands. I can really get in there and plug everything into the tight spaces. Okay, so now you're ready to plug in the CD-ROM power and SATA data cables. So what I recommend doing for this is actually taking the power supply out. You'll be able to get back here a heck of a lot easier. So we're just going to do that really quick. It just slides right out. Notice we haven't screwed in the 4 screws yet. I haven't gotten to that part yet, so there should not be any screws back here for this purpose. So we're just going to slide it out. Nice and easy. There we go. Alright, so now that this is actually out of the case, we're just going to lay it right on top of the CPU fan. And we're going to find our cable to plug into our CD-ROM drive, which is right here. This is actually an accessory cable that we added on because this power supply is modular. Okay, so I'm going to bring you in and show you how to do this. Alright, so here are our 2 connections in the back of the CD-ROM drive. You see this one up here and that one down there. You can see the little L shapes on them, meaning that the cables are only going to go in one way. So we're going to take our power connection, also has a little L shape on it, and that's going to go in the one down here. Now this is a little funky because This way it's facing up. We want it to be facing the other way, which is down in our case. So we have to flip that cable upside down, which is really weird. And I recommend taking this power supply out and using this back hole here to put your hand through. It's really easy that way. So it's the same process for the data cable, the SATA data. And that's just gonna go up here on this one. This one you don't have to do any flipping, it just kind of goes right in. You can see how this wire is upside down. It's really weird. I don't know. Alright, so now we are ready to screw in our power supply. All the connections are secured, and that's what you really want to make sure dealing with this type of case. Make sure all your wires are connected. There's not really a lot of space, so make sure everything's good to go, and then screw her down. Screw her down. Alright guys, stick with me. We're almost done. All we have is the graphics card to put in now, which is right here. Ta-da! This is a really old card. I don't recommend buying this. It's a GTS 250. Yeah. Well, it's got 4 gigabytes of video RAM. Whatever. But anyways, what you want to do here is, there's a latch that you can see. If you just push up on that, it'll pop right out. This is what secures all your PCI components. Now, this is a fairly small case, so you don't want to get a graphics card that's any longer than 12 inches or 1 foot long, because the entire case measures about 15 inches. I mean, you can get away with like 13, maybe 14 inches, but I wouldn't go any higher than that. You just won't be able to fit your card in. This is about, I think, a 9.5 inch card right here. So let's go ahead and install that. As you can see, there is a blue slot. This is the slot that you want to use. This is your PCIe X16 slot, and that's really good about this motherboard, that it actually does support X16, so you can get these high-end graphics cards. This is not a high-end, but you can get the high-end graphics cards and be totally fine. So let's go ahead and get that in there. First of all, let's actually move all of our cables. You can see all these cables back. Try to move all these back out of the way. We want to make as much room for this graphics card as possible. So you have your connection point down here. Got a little notch in there. That notch lines up with the notch inside, you see right there, inside the PCI slot. And also, a rule of thumb, this will always face the outside of your case, or the back of your case. So let's go ahead and slide her in. Making sure to be very careful, just line everything up. And then you just push right down and it will click in place. Alright, and don't forget to plug in your power connection. You may need more than one cable for this. Everyone is different. You have to look at your manuals. But for me, it's just one 6-pin connector. Very simple. So let's go ahead and plug that in. If you don't plug that in, your computer won't work, basically. So there you go. Now, just a quick tip. Removing this graphics card is really simple, and it's actually similar on every computer, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you that really quick. Alright, let's just say you wanted to remove this graphics card. It's actually really simple. This right here, this lever, this white lever right there, pretty simple. All you got to do is come around and push straight down, and you'll hear it click. Well, actually, you weren't able to hear that, but it did come up. All you got to do is just, as you can see, it did come up. I just pushed it back down. You'll feel it come up. That's the release lever right there. So if you want to remove your graphics cards, just go ahead and push on that, and you can remove your graphics card. There is a lock. It will not come out unless you push that lever. Alright, so now an optional step is to install a screw here. You don't need to do that because this will secure it in place. It's a latch. It's not going to go anywhere. It's in there, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, cable management, I'm going to show you a little bit of cable management for this case specifically. It's not too much, but it will do something for you. Alright, so we're going to take all of our cables. Nothing else needs to be connected. Everything is connected. So take everything and kind of go with its natural bend, meaning it'll bend a certain way. Just let it bend that way. And we're gonna open up this white bar here. If you guys remember, this is our cable management thing. Push it, and it will pop open. Okay, so you just take it like that, open her up, and just kind of stick everything in there. And this little bar here is pretty forgiving. It will bend, so don't have to worry about that. Once you get everything in there, there is a nice little slot you have to line it up with, so careful with that. If it doesn't lock in place, you're not lining it up right, and you'll hear the little confirmation click. I like to call those confirmation clicks. So there you go. It actually keeps everything pretty neat and simple. So all you got to do is put on the side panel. Let's do that. So I've seen some people struggle with putting on the side panel. It's really not that hard. There is a certain way you have to line it up though. Easiest way to do that is to put the panel on, just kind of way off something crazy like this. Push it a little bit, let your hand do the work, don't put any pressure on it, and you'll kind of feel this back part fall into place. So you kind of push it, and it sits into place, and then all it is just a push, and that's it. It's on. Just screw on the two back screws, and that's it. Alright, so there you go guys. That was my little tutorial on adding a graphics card to your Gateway DX4860. I hope this was informative and this helped you guys out. Please give me a like rating. This took a lot of time to film. But not that that matters, because I enjoy doing these videos anyways. Just show me you like the video is all I'm really asking. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.